Welcome back. It's great to have you here. Thanks for stopping by the Damon Bruce Show. We got a good one for you this Friday. Had a great night last night, the Guardsman Sports Auction. Hunter Pence was fantastic. Had Larry Krueger, Laura Britt, FP Santangelo, an awful lot of people that I haven't seen in a really long time came on out to support a charity that means an awful lot to me. We raised a lot of money for Bay Area at-risk youth. So nice job, everyone. Great to see a whole bunch of old friends. So yesterday, because we always like to tell you what we're going to be talking about in the next day's show, I said I wanted to get into Trey Lance and Sam Darnold. And I tell you, it was as if Matt Barrows was listening to my request, wanting to talk about this, because this morning, very interesting article about Trey Lance came out by Matt Barrows in the Athletic, and I want to just hop right in to talk about the throwing motion heard around the world. Okay, well, let's find out. 49ers Web Zone basically said, Trey Lance has been working with the quarterback coach and is dramatically different and better and is going to result in more accurate throws without taxing his arm. He's learning. Okay. This story's being greeted with an awful lot of optimism. I'm not sure that's how I see it. And again, I'm no Trey Lance hater. I'm not a Brock Purdy supporter. I don't care who the 49ers quarterback is, as long as he gets the job done right and it benefits the rest of that very good football team around him. The Matt Barrows story, again, wild optimism among 49ers fans. He says, we'll get into what he writes in a second, because to me, the whole thing is Kyle Shanahan doesn't need a project that is so bogged down in its infancy of figuring it out. We're still working on throwing motions in the offseason going into year 3. That just feels like a really big mountain to climb. A quarterback's got so many things to think about, and guys always revert to their nature when they're under pressure. So whenever I hear about how a quarterback is working with a quarterback coach and the quarterback coach is then giving great raving reviews of how well everything is going, I think, all right, well, I hope that's true. A lot of good quarterbacks have had quarterback coaches, personal coaches throughout the history of football. These aren't bad things. But I'm not going to believe any QB coach's review on a QB until I see it with my own 2 eyes. And OTA is going to start next week, and I'm going to definitely head down there to look at this. It's hard to predict that you're going to ever be a really good race car driver if you just don't turn left naturally, right? I mean, isn't there some truth to that? And I know that throwing motions can be tweaked and worked on, and a little tinkering here, tuck the elbow here, wrist angle there, closer to your ear hole, all this stuff. Don't want the big loopy throwing motion, which has sort of dotted Trey Lance's career and inaccuracy. Guys always revert to what they have always done when the shit hits the fan. Always. It just happens. So this story, again, being greeted with great optimism, and we'll get into the specifics here in a second, but, Brock Purdy was officially labeled by everyone drafting in the NFL the year he was Mr. Irrelevant as nothing really special there. Now, they get those evaluations wrong all the time, and they certainly got it wrong on Brock because, number one, he took to Kyle's offense like a duck to water, and you actually saw he's a much better athlete than he actually just looks standing there in a uniform. Great athletes can come in all packages. Trey Lance is a kid where you see him, you're like, oh my God, that's going to be a great athlete. But can he now do all the other things that just were so there and naturally, readily available to Brock Purdy? Then I think about how Sam Darnold is in here. And this is a 5-year NFL veteran with lessons of bad football now in his rearview mirror. The Jets and the Carolina Panthers were bad football teams, and for the first time since he stepped off of USC's campus, Sam Darnold's going to be on a good football team. What that brings out of a guy who has already had over 1,700 NFL passing attempts, will be 26 years old in June, He's going to finally get reps this offseason in OTAs with a good football team around him for the first time in his life almost in the NFL. I dare you, go out and name a single Jets or Panthers wide receiver that he played with. He has not been in a good situation. Now he is. Like, everyone's talking about, well, this is a really good offseason opportunity. These OTAs for Trey Lance are going to mean an awful lot. Dude, Sam Darnold could go blowing past them. So you better brace yourself mentally for that. And at the end, you shouldn't care about what Darnold has done, where Lance was drafted, where Purdy was drafted. All you're looking for is that guy can play. That guy can get the ball out and run Shanahan's system. That is job one. So who does that job the best? I don't care. They just need someone to do it well. If Lance can prove this offseason, with Purdy shelved because of the elbow situation, if Lance can prove that having seen very little football and with my brand new throwing motion, I am going to be better than a 5-year NFL vet in Sam Darnold, I'll be surprised. I really will, and all credit to him if he can do it. All credit to him if he can do it. I just think that we're really working on throwing the football better stories aren't that great. It's going into year 3. How come no one has identified these mechanical issues before this time? We'll get into what Matt Barrows wrote here in just a second, but let me tell you, it's wonderful to have you here. My cardboard cutout of Ike's hardly needs the graphic to overlay and cover up his beautiful face with the cartoon of his face. Let's go right back to that beautiful Ike's face. Incredible sandwiches. I don't know what your lunch plans are this Friday. I don't know what you're doing this weekend, but you will be really happy if you do it with an Ike sandwich in your mouth. Go ahead and get one today, tomorrow, and on Sunday. You should be eating Ike's once a day. And then when you decide, it is cocktail time, baby, how about a little blackened whiskey? It's my choice. It's where I go. I'll tell you, if Charles, who sent me a bottle of blackened whiskey, just sent me a bottle of blackened whiskey, and there was no deal cut between the Plus and blackened whiskey, I'd still be drinking this whiskey. It's fantastic. It is fantastic. It is smooth. It comes at price points that make you say, I'll take 2 of those. Go ahead and pick up a little blackened whiskey and find out that Uncle Damon's not lying to you. He never will. Never has. Ain't going to start now. Certainly not going to start with any sponsor either. I'm not going to take a product that I like and be like, personally, I can't stand this product, but let me try to use it as an endorsement. I'm sorry. I won't do that. I won't play that game. If I'm telling you I like something, it's because I really, really like something. The big demerit on Sam Darnold is that he's a 59% career passer. And that's got to improve and will probably improve instantly with Kyle Shanahan and the routes and just the offense around him. Look at how good Brock Purdy was. Again, took to this offense almost like a duck to water. And it's been a slow grind getting Trey Lance up to speed. Now, apparently all those arm fatigue stories were real. The throwing motion didn't do his arm any favors. Okay. Well, think how many times you heard pushback on that. Oh, those arm fatigue stories are totally false. Well, it turns out they were true after all. And he's throwing the football now without any fatigue in his arm, and that's great. Again, Lance is going into year 3 with an incredible opportunity in the OTAs, which he really needs to take advantage of, because here is what, the categories that Trey Lance needs to work on are as follows. Number 1, actually playing football. Number 2, actually playing real football games. Well, the football that he plays in OTAs will determine how many actual real football games he plays this coming season. How to throw a football. Again, a little worried that we're at the how to throw a football phase going into year 3 still. Last year, Trey Lance completed 48% of his passes in an incredibly small sample size. There is no sample size of Trey Lance that isn't incredibly small. It's how he's packaged. Everything about him is, well, we hardly saw anything. So can you really take away any information from what you saw? In his 8 career games, he has a 55% completion percentage. That is horrific. Under any and all circumstances, large sample sizes, great sample sizes, 1/4 of football, if you're only completing 55% of your passes, that ain't good. So he's got a lot to work on. How to read a defense, how to see a football field. These are all legitimate questions that Trey Lance needs to answer, and quickly in OTAs, or mark my words, Sam Darnold is going to go blowing past him. It just feels like all Sam Darnold needs to do to fit into the Kyle Shanahan system is see the playbook and start running some reps. Purdy, it feels like, well, you certainly hope, the only thing he needs to do before he is the starter again is get healthy. And it feels like both Sam Darnold and Brock Purdy have much smaller mountains to climb, while Trey Lance is sitting at base camp of his mountain saying, okay, so what I need to do is learn how to throw a football. Again, how can you be predicted to be a really good race car driver if you have trouble turning left? For those who want more NASCAR in the show, you just got it. So I hope you enjoyed that. Obviously, we got a lot of people in the chat. You were there early today. You plusers, you're freaking amazing. You really are. I'm happy to report that Jillian and I are going out to a place next week, which we might pick to do our first in-person event with everyone who has been so supportive. Maybe even do a show from there. But what I really want to do is reach out and thank all of you personally for the incredible support that has turned this brand new little project that today I believe is kind of 2 months old, or we're approaching the second month anyways here. Well, no, I guess we're a month and a half in. We still got a couple weeks to go before we get to 2 months. But the growth has just been tremendous, and it's because of all of you. So thank you so much. Matt Barrows wrote, Kyle Shanahan noted that injuries have played a big role in Lance's delivery. He broke his right index finger in the 49ers final preseason game in 2021, which affected the rest of his rookie season, which bled into the spring period last year, and he was making progress as a thrower when the regular season begun, but suffered a broken ankle in the first quarter of week 2, ending the entire season. That's all true. That happened. I saw it with my own 2 eyes. But again, these setbacks are not reasons to plant seeds of hope. They're just more concerns, because the one thing that you drafted Trey Lance to be, well, among the many things you drafted him to be, was the big, tough quarterback who just doesn't get hurt as frequently as Jimmy Garoppolo did. And that is something, it's another box he's not checking. I'm not saying anyone's at fault for getting hurt on a football field. I would be snapped in half on a football field by the water boy at this point in my life. I'm sure of it. But this is not a good start. To try to say, well, there's reasons for it not being a good start. Okay, but these reasons don't change the fact that this ain't a good start for a kid who was drafted in a place where I think Kyle Shanahan talked himself into something that he might have wanted but didn't really need. What he needs is a 3, 5, 7-step drop quarterback who can get the ball out accurately inside of a 17-yard box. That's it. He wants a few yards behind the scrimmage, about 2 yards behind the scrimmage for the screen game. And then 15 yards downfield is really the only place Kyle's comfortable running routes. And if you get a yoiks away every now and then, that's just to keep the defense honest. Or maybe you got a shot play and you're taking it, but it's really not designed to do that often. We know the Shanahan offense. We know it. And I guess now we know that all of those, there are no arm fatigue stories that we heard and the Niners said were just bupkis, were real. Let me get a little sip of coffee here as we continue. That's good coffee. So, Trey Lance has been doing his homework, and he's been watching Patrick Mahomes. Jeff Christensen is the name of the private quarterbacks coach whose star pupil is Patrick Mahomes. And Christensen used Mahomes as an example for Trey Lance this is how you got to throw the football. I mean, what quarterback in the NFL can't learn from Patrick Mahomes at this point, right? Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in football, living, breathing today. So to say, like, do it like him is probably a lot easier said than done. But what Matt Barrows writes is that Jeff Christensen said, watch this. Watch what he does. Mahomes on the field, Lance right on the same field watching him. And his QB coach, his private QB coach, Jeff Christensen, says, watch this, watch what he does. It was something that I was telling him to do that he wasn't quite doing. And then he saw Patrick apply it perfectly, and I think that visual buy-in, that mental buy-in, helped him pass that mental hump. So what, are you telling me he's got the yips too? I don't know. But look, I'm a visual learner. You can sit around telling me how to do something all day long, and I probably don't get it. But if you show me how to do it, I'll probably pick it up quickly. I'm very much a visual learner myself. So, Christensen added, to his credit, he just kept on getting better over the last 7 days. Every day was a substantial jump. Okay, so now here's what I want. I want Trey Lance to hit the ground running so hard Tuesday, next week at OTAs, that there is no reason to even have Sam Darnold take a single rep with the ones. Like, is that what you're telling me is going to happen? That is the substantial leap forward? I got to see it to believe it. And I think you got to see it to believe it too. And I don't want to get into like who you're rooting for. Who you're rooting for is the 49ers. And if the 49ers need to put cigarettes out in the forehead of the quarterback whose jersey you already bought and already talked a whole bunch of smack to your friends saying he's going to be the next best whatever, look at it this way. You didn't say anything about Brock Purdy when he was drafted, and chances are you would turn in your Trey Lance, Jimmy Garoppolo jersey for a Brock Purdy jersey instantly if you were given that opportunity. Because Purdy, again, he just took to this whole thing like a duck to water because he's a quarterback who's out there just thinking about who's my open target, not out there thinking, all right, how do I tuck my elbow and keep the ball near the ear hole and not be loopy with my throws. And he's also the kind of guy who's going to throw from all arm angles, which is what Patrick Mahomes does. And by the way, Patrick Mahomes reverts to here's how important Patrick Mahomes as quarterback coach is to Patrick Mahomes' throwing motion. It doesn't matter. Patrick Mahomes throws the ball right up here, down here, sidearm, underhand, no look. The guy's got a million different clubs in his bag. So looking at Patrick Mahomes as the example of this is how this is Dan Marino who's got the same throw every single throw of his career is ridiculous. Patrick Mahomes has so much natural ability caked into his body that how he throws the football, the arm angle, the elbow angle, the wrist motion, none of it fucking matters. He's just unloading that thing with more talent than's ever been stuffed into a football uniform. So, it's basically like saying to somebody who's learning how to play the guitar, you see Jimi Hendrix? You do that. Do that. No, you shouldn't do that because Jimmy did things that no one else could have ever done, and he did it with a guitar that was strung upside down, which is the opposite of how anybody would string a guitar in the first place. I'm glad Jimi Hendrix made the show today, and I hope you are too. So I really wanted to talk about this quarterbacking situation. It's a topic that has literally been beaten to death, but I thought I was going to talk about it today. And then Matthew Barrows drops this article, which has got everyone talking about it too. So I love when the stars align. I really do. The other news around the 49ers, which is going to mean ka-ching for the registers, is that Turkey on the 50 field at Levi Stadium will host the Super Bowl in 2026. So it's going to be Vegas, party, oh my God. Then it's going to be New Orleans. What a party town that is. And then it's going to be Santa Clara. Womp, womp. Now, obviously, the only element of the Super Bowl that will take place in Santa Clara will be the game itself at a football stadium that looks like it's still being built. I do. I just hate that place. I do. It sucks. We all know it. All you got to do is see Allegiant Stadium. All you got to do is see SoFi Stadium. All you got to do is see the palace that the Falcons built, the Vikings built. All these new stadiums so dwarf the construction and architectural ideas that went into Levi Stadium. It's ridiculous. Anyway, it's done. Damage is done. It's like drafting Trey Lance. Sunk costs, can't worry about it anymore. The good news is downtown San Francisco in 2026 needs the business. A return to San Francisco needs to happen in the next couple of years. A return to normalcy downtown needs to happen. Full hotel rooms, full convention centers. It's just unfortunate that the football stadium is nowhere near San Francisco, California, which will be the host city. I mean, really, if you wanted to make it convenient for anyone with hotels to stay in or, a media that is covering the game, you'd have Media Row in San Jose. But if that's not going to happen, there will be hundreds of millions of dollars in renovations. All the rich people will be taken care of because that's going to be poured into suites that people like you and I are never even allowed in. The people sitting in the stands, all of you got sun in your eyes, go fuck yourselves. Shade is not available. Wear sunscreen and sunglasses. And even though they've been practicing in the backyard of Levi Stadium for a quarter century now, again, the sun snuck up on the 49ers when they decided to put their stadium there. You will get new scoreboards. The one thing you absolutely do not need in that stadium. The one thing that I can tell you they got right are the scoreboards. Those are good-looking scoreboards. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. So the chat moves quickly, so quickly that if I don't start looking at it, I'm afraid that a few things will be forgotten about by the time we get there. Let's just start with real quickly, and we'll get deeper into this in Club Plus in just a second. Today should be a blackened whiskey day, blackened Friday. All days should be blackened days. Thank you very, very much. We got same guy also saying, I need the plus. Mike, the plus needs you. Thank you so much for being here. And again, to our founding patron, chat room saint himself, Otis Bird III. Hey, Damon. Hey, everyone. What I love is that we have so many regular names and faces that used to be over on a certain radio station that get to this not even up and running YouTube channel before 11 a.m. to start talking with each other over here than over there. Another sign that this is working. Thank you very, very much. Yeah, everybody. New throwing motions are exciting. True Blue forever. That will, in 250 will get you on Muni. Not here to tell you that quarterback coaches don't matter and improvement can't be figured out, and sometimes it isn't a sprint. It's a slow incremental climb. Lance is still very young, but again, a very young quarterback making slow incremental climbs to be better is not going to serve the 49ers well. Brock Purdy, get healthy. Sam Darnold, if you don't go flying past Trey Lance by day 4 of OTAs, you ain't it. Sam Darnold should be able to look so much better than Trey Lance could possibly look. Again, I've never heard a word about Sam Darnold's throwing motion or him having technique issues. The Sam Darnold issues are the teams around him since the day he's been drafted have totally sucked. True Blue again. Puff, puff, pass, or just hand it off to Christian McCaffrey. Guess who's got an awful lot of road traveled with Christian McCaffrey? Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold. Fish and chips. Hello, Governor. This season will be the handoff train. I'm good with that. Again, whatever works. Whatever shortens games, whatever keeps your defense off the field fresh, ready to go and strike when they're out there. Dude, running game, I'm good with it. Again, I watch Big Ten football. I'm good with running games. I'm good with running backs kicking ass. I'm fine with it. I don't have a problem with it. Now, I'm not so dedicated to that I'm telling you that this has got to be a, straight up at all times, when you throw the football, 3 things can happen. 2 of them are bad. Like, I'm not that much in the past where that's the way I feel. But, man. One more from True Blue saying, man, this is much more better than the punch talk. Yeah, it is. It is. It's nice to circle back to football. And by the way, wait until you see what the Palouse becomes by the time football season rolls around, and then wait until you see the animal that gets unleashed come football season here. Oh, we're so excited. At the Guardsman Sports Auction, everybody that I talked to was just so excited about what is happening over here and how it looks to them and this start and what it's done to just unleash the truest version of Damon Bruce they've ever been allowed to hear, because there's no FCC constraints over here. We can shoot from the hip, and we aren't a flagship of no one on the Palouse, which means we can talk about everything independently without an ounce of blowback. Although, to be totally fair, honestly, in all the years I was at KMBRN 95.7 The Game, I didn't get much blowback about how I ever talked about anything. Probably because they knew that he wouldn't listen anyways. He's just going to do it the way he wants to. But I've always been honest with you, and we're never going to stop any of that. And we're going to be even more honester. More honester? Much more honester right here. Sporticus. You want honesty? Sporticus gives you sports honesty all the time. Brock has proved he can do it and visibly fits. Trey has not. Proven success is always more valuable than potential success. Hear, hear. Now, if potential can hop on that road and get to actual success, what a great story that will be. Not all quarterbacks are just, grease lightning the minute they get drafted into the NFL. As a matter of fact, the vast majority of them are not. So it's, Trey Lance could still be a spectacular quarterback one day. But it's going to materialize out of a start of a career that has been very shaky, if that indeed happens. So we will get back into the text line here. We will get back into all of this. I just have a few more things to say. We already talked about how the Super Bowl is coming in 2026. That's good news. Bring your business to San Francisco. Do business in San Francisco. Everything you hear about San Francisco's death spiral is basically copied and pasted from Wall Street articles that applied to 20 years ago when it was a boom town with the whole tech industry. I mean, people, newspapers, other cities have an agenda to let you know how terrible everything in San Francisco is all the time. It's a huge exaggeration. Are there problems? Are there problems that should be fixed and addressed quicker? Of course. Find me the major city where that doesn't exist. What I'm happy to be part of as a guardsman is part of the solution. What are you doing? What are you doing to be part of a solution? Or do you just sit there and retweet things with your fat, talentless, effortless fingers? I'm trying to be part of the solution. The city's going to come back like a phoenix. And that's going to be me and Mrs. Palouse with lassos riding the phoenix out of San Francisco's ashes, saying, "Thank you. We're awesome." I love this town. I deeply love this town. Not going anywhere, baby. I love this town like Hunter Pence loves this town. How many San Francisco Giants from Texas, born in Texas, plays for the Giants, now he can live wherever he wants, and he still lives in downtown San Francisco. That guy loves this town. Speaking of the Giants, we got Marlins at the Giants. It's a 3-game series over the weekend. DeSclafani, Webb, and Wood are your scheduled pitchers. And this is a 3-gamer before they start a 7-game road trip that'll take them through Minnesota and Milwaukee. The Athletics are at the Astros. That's the start of a 7-game road trip before they head to Seattle after leaving Houston, and I'm sure it'll just be great. What I did kind of want to talk about for a moment here is how the Dodgers have so thoroughly caved to pressure that they should be ashamed of themselves. Big story in ESPN and everywhere, LA Times, all over the place, about how the Dodgers have disinvited the Sisters of the Perpetual Indulgence to their annual Pride Night because of pressure from conservative Catholic groups. All conservative Catholic groups, let me tell you, since we're talking, you want to be on a baseball field? Well, then let's talk about odds. The odds of your child being raped by someone in a conservative Catholic group are so magnificently higher than a Sister of the Perpetual Indulgence. It's not even funny. Like, one is a legitimate double-digit percentage of that could happen. The other is a 0%. Go ahead and Google kids sexually molested by priests. See how many returns you get on that. Google, after that, kids sexually molested by the Sisters of the Perpetual Indulgence. There's no the in there. Drop the the. It's cleaner. Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence. It hasn't happened. Look, this whole thing about, kids and drag queens and all this stuff. Dude, kids don't give a shit nearly as much as all these parents are using it as some political cudgel to wield around. When I was a kid, I thought Bugs Bunny wearing a wig was freaking hysterical. When you'd see oh God, who used to be the old comedians? You'd have God, I can't. Why am I blanking on his name right now? He's only one of the most famous comedians in the history of comedians. I can't get anything other than Mel Blanc out of my mind because he was But the thing about it, just Bugs Bunny wearing a wig and Elmer Fudd, oh, Broomhilda, how I love you. I watched that cartoon a million times as a kid. I have not dressed in drag once. I've always said that the single most powerful, enlightening statement I ever made when I moved to the Bay Area for the very first time so many years ago, and I was working across from a guy at a temp job who one day we were out at lunch, and I'm like, dude, check that chick out. And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, what, you're not interested? And he's like, no, I'm really not. I'm like, what, are you gay? And he's like, yeah, I'm gay. And I'm like, oh, my God. Well, you're like the first gay person I've ever met in my life. Let's talk. And in that conversation, he said something to me that so thoroughly blew my mind, and I've shared this before on the radio. I'm proud to share it with you again. He asked me a real simple question. He said, Damon, when did you choose to be attracted to women? And I told him, I said, well, I never made that choice. I just what? Boom. Light bulb. Every bias, every prejudice, everything that I ever might have thought or felt about the gay community being different than me or weirder than me just vanished in that one instant because I never decided to like pretty girls with big boobs. I just did. It was natural. And that's how he decided what he liked. He just was attracted to that. I never went. Do you think that there's a single person ever at a drag show who never really considered dressing in drag, but coming out of that drag show, let me tell you, I'm absolutely going to do that now. It doesn't happen. It's an illusion. It's an illusion. It's an illusion that is being literally politicized because one political party's got nothing to sell you but fear and anger. All out of ideas. So they're going to tap into the worst of their base. Have you ever seen the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence? Guys dressed drag face and nun outfits. You know where I've seen them? I've seen them feeding the poor and helping the needy. That's where I've seen them. And as a matter of fact, the Dodgers, who say, given the strong feelings of people who've been offended by the sisters' inclusion in our evening, and in an effort not to distract from the great benefits that we have seen over the years of Pride Night, we are deciding to remove them from this year's group of honorees. Go fuck yourself, Los Angeles Dodgers, you coward caving bastards. Seriously, everyone involved in that Pride Night should boycott it. Every other group that they said, okay, well, we'll have you on here because you're less offensive than them, they should boycott that straight up. I have lived in San Francisco for 20 years, and I'm telling you, I have actually seen like 3 or 4 people trying to live their life as a different gendered or transgendered person. It's such an infinitesimal issue here in San Francisco that to say it's a big issue anywhere else is just a lie. It's ridiculous. If you could just mind your own business, you'll be fine. I know one, and I've only met her once, Christina Carl of the San Francisco Chronicle. I went up and introduced myself to her saying, we've never actually introduced myself. Hi, I'm Damon. She said, hi, I'm typing right now. I got to get back to work. I said, cool, we'll talk another time. It's the smallest little boutique issue that they're trying to pretend is Walmart. But it's the morality that goes into the issue and how you feel about it that says an awful lot about you. I invite everyone, and I really mean this from the bottom of my heart, when it comes to something you don't like, whether it be a sexuality, a group, the way a person dresses, who they go to bed with, who they decide to love in their lives. Here's my one bit of advice to you. I think it's great advice. You should take it. Mind your own goddamn business. Mind your own goddamn business. And if you're that bad of a parent where your kid seeing the sisters of the perpetual, I keep on saying the, if any way anyone dresses is going to change who your kid is inside and out, I'm telling you, you're a piece of shit parent. It's insane. It's insane. So shame on the Dodgers. The Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence, their group's mission statement says it's a nonprofit organization devoted to community service, ministry, and outreach to those on the edges and to promote human rights, respect for diversity, and spiritual enlightenment. We use humor and irreverent wit to expose the forces of bigotry, complacency, and guilt that chain from the human spirit. It's amazing how much that aligns with so many Catholic mission statements, doesn't it? Yet, the biggest conservative Catholic groups, all Trump voters, every single fucking one of them, decides that you can't have men running around in drag, and you can't have abortions anymore, so we're going to take away the right to an important medical procedure for women all around the world. Well, not the world, but the United States, and make it as difficult as possible. These people have an agenda that is ungodly, unloving, and they can all go fuck off. So you know what I want to do? When we have our in-person thing, I'm going to invite the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence to join us. That's what I'm going to do. I'm done with bigotry and people who are just total assholes. I'm done with them. And here's the great thing. I don't have to appeal to both sides anymore. I don't have to be Michael Jordan going, yeah, well, Republicans buy sneakers too. Nah. If you're that much of a conservative sticking your nose up everybody's ass that you can't mind your own business, we ain't going to be in business together. It's just that simple. And by the way, I would not have probably felt this way had I not moved to San Francisco, and that is the beauty of this city because it enlightens people. You can live wherever you are and be whoever you might be. or you can come to San Francisco and find out who you really might be on the inside, because the city will peel the layers of all the systemic programming and bigotry off of you, and now you get to think about things for real, being exposed to different things for the first time. That's what makes this city magical. That's why I'm proud to be here. Shame on the Dodgers. Caving. So before we get into Club Plus, let me just tell you that the Lakers are now in an 0-2 hole, baby. They got to go and defend home court. If Denver wins one game in Los Angeles, that series is essentially over in my mind. Even though those games have been close and tight and whatnot, dude, a playoff series hasn't started until you win on another team's floor, which means tonight at 5:30, we got ourselves a playoff series that has started because Miami's up 1-0, and Game 2 is in Boston tonight. We'll see how that goes. I can tell you it's basically a must-win for Boston tonight. They don't want to go to Miami down 0-2. Bob Myers' watch obviously continues for Warriors fans. The timeline is that it's going to be in a couple of weeks, so we will see. And last night, I couldn't believe it. Jillian and I get home late from the Guardsman Sports Auction, and I'm opening up my text lines, opening up on text lines here, and just people, my friends texting me, and they're like, dude, second overtime, third overtime, fourth overtime. And as soon as I get to my front door, the game-winning goal was scored, and I didn't get to see any of it. But I thought I was going to watch a 4-overtime hockey game when I got home last night. All I can tell you about 4-overtime hockey games is that the Canes and Predators last night had players logging 60 minutes of ice time. Like if a player in an NHL game has 20 minutes of ice time, that's an awful lot. 60 minutes of ice time in a single night of hockey. I mean, everyone needs to be in traction today. Good God. Wayne Gretzky, I saw him sitting on the set. I watched a little of that postgame. Wayne Gretzky looked like he would rather be anywhere else in the world. He looked exhausted. And I went to bed last night, and the final thought that danced through my head was that Ray Ratto must have loved that, because he only really likes sporting events that involve great degrees of human suffering. And when it's at its apex level of painful, excruciatingly long hockey games, that's when Ray's is an absolute happiest. And when Zambonis, might run out of gas, that's as happy as Ray Ratto gets in life. So Ray Ratto, I'm sure, went to bed last night as close to happy as happiness will ever allow Ray Ratto to actually get to it. And on that note, I say thank you so much for tuning in. Another great week in the books. Thank you for listening on the podcast. Club Plus is about to start, but I can tell you right now, sports don't build character. They reveal it. And like that, he's gone. Oh, wait, I gotta get my black inside. Yeah, boom. Yeah. It is good to have you here. I want to just start. Otis Bird. Juiced to have the Super Bowl back here in the Bay. Levi's isn't great, but it'll be great for the Bay Area economy, decimated by the pandemic. You are right. You are absolutely right. It's what we need. What we need around here, for sure. How about my man Ike? Last time I went to Levi's for the college football championship game, I can't believe they put that together for over $1 billion. Again, it looks like it's still under construction. The only thing I can say about Levi's that I really like is they finally got the grass right and it's natural turf. So that's good. Never go full Jeff. Says, I live 5 minutes away from Levi. It's going to be interesting to see how the Super Bowl and Super Bowl week plays out. Here's the thing. It won't be playing out down there until the actual day of the game. Talking about Super Bowl. Inglewood isn't glamorous, but damn, that's a nice stadium. Thank you. I still haven't been down there yet. I saw SoFi from the highway, but I haven't been in it yet, and I heard it's absolutely just spectacular. And again, you look at all the stadia that have been built right before Levi's Open and since Levi's Open, they dwarf the architectural ideas of Levi's Stadium. H3N. You need a new handle there, H3N. Oh, new scoreboards. Life is fulfilled. Yeah. Will those scoreboards be providing shade? Ernie, thank you very much. Yeah, it is. It's something. They're going to get new scoreboards. The one thing they really don't need. Amir John, it's my birthday. I'm celebrating in Club Plus. Happy birthday, Amir. Thank you very much. I recognize your name. Appreciate your loyalty. Happy birthday and cheers to you. Otis Bird III, Frisco's own R.I.P. Cougar Rebel. He is our fearless leader. Loved a whole bunch of people. Just wishing all our good friends happy birthday over here. Dan Marino reference on the show today. People are excited. Dan Marino. His cameo in Ace Ventura was epic. It was good. It was good. Oh, my God. What? So, it's a man. Isn't that the whole point in Ace Ventura? It's a man after all. Anyone see that and decide, yeah, I think I'm going to be transsexual now? No. Nah, Ace Ventura wasn't working on your kids. Neither are these drag queens. It's just crazy. Sporticus saying, living and working in Arizona during the day, the on-demand nature of the Plus is a godsend. Well, thank you, man. It's fun to be here in a new space. It really is. And I know that it works better for people than forcing you to listen to me in the one time you might happen to be in the car. Now you can do it whenever you want. And I like that. Bamboo Soldier. Fuck Mark Davis. Bang, 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 bang. Look, Mark Davis is gone now. He's not the one you need to worry about. It's F. John Fisher, who does not have consensus support of the city of Las Vegas and its councils who have to approve his dollar amount, which apparently if they do approve won't meet the dollar amount he seeks. And for a man as rich as him to let $200 million stand in the way of any opportunity means he's just a bad businessman. But we all knew that. He's an untalented, bad businessman who literally wouldn't be doing anything on a major scale had he not inherited an empire. We have Michelle Haberman. Hello, Michelle. The Trey Lance experiment is officially in its last chapter. I just want a quarterback who can win games and stay healthy. Brock and Sam seem like the perfect duo for this offense. Look, if they can execute the position with an element of passing accuracy, you are perfect for Kyle Shanahan's offense. And I don't know if Trey Lance can do that. He hasn't shown that he has to this point. The book's not out on him. I don't know if it's his last chapter, but it feels like he's going to be approaching his last chapter with the 49ers. If he doesn't look just like a rebuilt, phenomenal talent early on in the OTAs, Sam Darnold's going to go zooming past him. In Kyle Shanahan's mind and in every player on that field's mind as well. I want to hear Ray Ratto get loose. Let loose. I mean, there would be no visceral, visible sign of Ray getting loose. Again, Ray and I worked together for hundreds of radio shows. He laughed 3 times. And only one of them was like actual laughter. Like where he actually had trouble like containing himself and getting back into the normal I'm miserable Ray that we all came to know and love. Good times with Ray. Never Go Full Jeff says, do the 49ers recognize your new show as media, so can you go cover the OTAs? Look, baby, this is my credential right here. I've been in this game long enough. But the truth is, the NBA has the 49ers, the Warriors represent the Plus as a media company. And beyond that, I'm also working for AMP, which is Amazon's radio thing, which I'll be doing some more playoffs, NBA stuff, and set lists and sound musics, and having fun with Uncle Jeff Bezos' cash, who bought all that music for us to play. Gotta have Uncle Jeff send a little Dayquil over here. I got this cough that never stops. But yeah, I mean, I got actual company media backing me, but to the teams locally, I'm gonna go full Kevin Durant here. Y'all know who I am. Y'all know who I am. You can't be working in sports the last 20 years and not know who I am around here. It's called market equity. I've got some. San Francisco is thriving, the ambassador of Castro Valley. Look, here's the thing. We don't need to lie to each other. I know what thriving San Francisco looks like, and it don't quite look like that yet, but it's starting to get better. It's starting to get better. The residue of the pandemic feels like it is being washed away for the first time in a long time. It probably took too long to come back. You know, there's always going to be a drug problem. There's always going to be a shoplifting problem because we have probably to an overkill allowed, some real a different element to thrive when the city probably should have tamped it down. Again, I'm all for treating people compassionately, but compassion has to have an endpoint where action to improve things becomes, everyone who was going to respond to compassion down here would have by now if compassion was the only missing ingredient. So after you've exercised all the compassion to solve some serious problems, then I think you need to get a little bit more heavy-handed because you're obviously not able to affect change for the better with just compassion. How you go about executing the heavy-handedness is a debate that I'm not prepared to have. I didn't think about it enough, but now I'm finally catching up here into the chat where I started talking about the situation going on with the Dodgers. Bamboo says Mel Brooks, he did a little, and I believe it's one Mel and Mel. Thank you, Bamboo. He did do a little cross-dressing, but that's not who I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of Uncle, he's only one of the most famous comedians in the history ever. Merle, the guy whose dick was so famously big he only had to pull out enough to win. Who is that? That's the guy I'm thinking of. When his name absolutely hits my mind, it's going to be Damon, what about the movie To Wong Fu? Yeah, it's been bad. It's a bad movie, let's be honest, but Patrick Swayze doing drag, I don't think created a generation of transvestites. What about Medea? Yeah, what about Medea? What about Mrs. Doubtfire? Again, there was no there in politicizing it back then, so it wasn't an issue. It was just something funny that you laughed at. Again, little kids don't need to have sex on their minds in grade school, just like they shouldn't be molested by church. Now, I agree with you on both of those things. Serving up sexuality to children way too fast is probably an irresponsible thing to do. However, be a parent, know how to raise your kid and talk your kid through any situation, and someone dressed as a nun with heavy eye makeup isn't on its surface a sexual situation. If there isn't any sex involved, how is that a sexual situation? A man wearing a skirt might look a little funny to you, but that is not inherently a sexual situation. That's a fashion choice. It's a fashion choice. So, again, Ambassador Castro Valley, it's just another reason why the Dodgers suck. It really is. It really is. It's embarrassing that I can't remember the name of this comedian. What a moron, having a meltdown right now, complete with profanity, typical lefty. You know what? Lefty, again, is just one of those words that you continue to throw out there, like the word woke. It's just an empty vessel to insert all your complaints in. What makes me left is that I went to college, I'm educated, and I read things that are called books. It's real simple. And if you want to get the fuck out of here and never watch again, that's fine. I'm going to be over here doing what I want to do, talking how I want to talk. And if I offend you, I do not care. You have no right to an unoffended life. And remember, for everything that you think is abhorrent about what I said, there are other people who are understanding that what I said has more truth to it than the denial in what you want to say. Again, how about this? There is no person in the world, not one, not a person in the world who will determine, if this really is you're worried about a child, there is no person in the world that will determine that child's sexuality outside of that child itself. Ta-da! Again, when did you decide to be attracted to women? Or you didn't make that decision, you just were. By the way, to bring it back to sports just a little bit, you're right about this, Sporticus. Jimmy Buckets is a relentless killer on the basketball court. I want to see. I want to see him. Did I say Predators? It was Canes and Panthers. I'm sorry, last night. Panthers, not Predators. Sorry about that, Sharks Bob. I actually think Ray Ratto smiled last night. I do too. What a special night it really was. I mean, I don't know about a full smile. It might have taken 5 overtimes for a full smile. But I bet there was a smirk at the very, very least. Dame, wasn't it nice having Radio Row in your own backyard? Well, it was to an extent, but Radio Row is so... It doesn't have the value that it used to have. The fact that they started letting fans into Radio Row, which is, fun for fans, but it completely annihilates an opportunity to do the business of being on the radio and having all these guests come through. I actually think that Super Bowl week is one of the worst weeks of radio leading up to it because you have, a whole bunch of, hey, let's talk to a former right guard for the Tennessee Titans who is here today to sell you a product that you don't want to buy. Damon from ST. What are you talking about, Damon? Santa Clara is lit. Have you never partied at the Winchester Mystery House? No, I haven't, but I'd like to. I absolutely would like to. I really do. I want to see the Winchester Mystery House. It's one of those I'm going to do it eventually, just haven't yet. But I've watched documentaries on that. Yes, this is the part of Ace Ventura that I was thinking of. Einhorn is Finkel. Finkel is Einhorn. Thank you, Daniel Shabazz. And as always, laces out. Laces out. Outstanding. Outstanding. God, can no one think of the old-timey comedian? No one. I could have sworn that the text line would have picked me up here. But I guess that's how. No, it wasn't Benny Hill. Thank you very much. There it is. Here it is. Thank you, Brian G. You win the I'm not going to drive myself crazy contest of the day, Brian. Milton Berle. Milton Berle. Old Uncle Milty. He used to dress and drag all the time. It wasn't a problem. Nobody said Milton Berle. And this was back when like TV had 3 channels. No one said Milton Berle's coming for your kids. It's ridiculous. Thank you, Brian G. Thank you so much. Oh, my God, that was driving me crazy. If I seemed distracted for the last 10 minutes, it's because I'm in my entire mind, I'm talking about something else, but I'm flipping through my mental Rolodex. Why can't I think about Uncle Milty? And there is a big dick story associated with Milton Berle, who apparently was packing so much heat. The joke usually was that, you got into a dick measuring contest with Milton Berle, and Milton Berle would only pull out enough to win. Thank you so much. No, it wasn't Dirk Diggler. No, it wasn't Jonas Donskoy. Thank you. Yeah. I love Mrs. Doubtfire. Me too, Drew. Joanna Man. Yeah. Talk about a movie that you probably couldn't make these days. What about Shanae? Thank you very much. What about Tom Hanks' bosom buddies? Thank you, Irwin. Again, this whole, a man in drag has been the downfall of society. Calm down, you putzes. There you go. Pete Davidson. Again, apparently the rumor of the package is there, but Pete Davidson just doesn't make me laugh. I got nothing really against him. I just don't think he's ever been particularly funny. Don Rickles would do drag. Thank you very much. Sports question out of nowhere. Thoughts on trading Draymond and Clay to get Giannis? Instantly. I would do that deal before I ended this sentence. But thank you, Malkeo Music. By the way, when Giannis hears the word about Warriors, he gets excited. I saw that video. Sporticus once again. And this is, Sporticus is older than me. He is from generation, might be hard to convince, treat everyone with respect. He says, I take offense to the level of offense seeking in the current world. So do I, Sporticus. So do I. Never go full. Damon going from Radio Row to Radio Basement during Super Bowl week here at the Palouse. I mean, we'll see. We'll see what the media situation is by 26. What do you think there's a greater chance of happening? There being no radio or me being back in radio? I don't even know right now. I'll tell you this. If they want to make Radio Row interesting, they'll invite me. One way or the other. If you can find anybody doing better than me, go ahead and listen to them. Here it is. A lot of Milton Berle, a lot of Eddie Izzard. Uncle Milty had that BDE. Thank you very much. You learn something new every day, and do you do. Daniel Shabazz learned something. He'd lose to Wilt. I don't know. I don't know. Apparently Milty was impressive. Thank you. Thank you, Postman in Capitol. What about Tootsie? Go ahead and watch Tootsie today. That movie's got more charm and heart in it. Come on, man. I mean, we used to have athletes dressing in drag. Remember Grandmama Larry Johnson? Ray Lord 84? You're right. And this is probably true. Radio Row is going to go in a way that it'll evolve into Media Row or something like that. And I'll tell you what has also killed Radio Row. What's also killed Radio Row is all the we're too cool to be here. And, and like you got Colin Cowherd and Dan Patrick and all these bigger media companies that are pulling actual celebrities on Radio Row, off Radio Row, to go to their other offsite. And there's a lot of things that have ruined Radio Row. And Yossarian, you're right. Milton Berle in It's a Mad, 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 Mad World. That is such a great. I love Sid Caesar in that. Mickey Rooney's fantastic in that. It's a great movie. My dad ingrained It's a Mad, 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 Mad World into me early on. Spencer Tracy's great in that. He plays the cop. Thank you very much. $20. I get paid. You get paid. We all eat together. Feed the Blues people. Thank you very, very much, Mike. I do appreciate that. Was it Mika? M-I? Oh, my. I can't. The font needs to grow on this thing, or I need to get better glasses. Sporticus, we'll wrap up with this. Video killed the radio star. Just as true as it was in 1980. And I think that is the perfect way for us to wrap things up. Again, if we helped enlighten you today, fantastic. If we pissed you off today, I'm good with that. If you were offended by anything, you have no right to the unoffended life. Remember, you chose to be here. You chose to watch this. And for that, I am deeply grateful. And just remember for a second, when did you decide that the things turned you on? Or did they just do that naturally? Shame on the Dodgers. I mean, I'll tell you what I'm for. I just wrap it up with this. You know what I would like to do is just go back to a world where everyone kind of minded their own business. Because you know what I'm really interested in your sexuality? None of it. I'm not interested in it. I don't care what you do. I don't care. I don't care. All I want you to be is a good person, not a blight on society who adds more to the table than they take off. That's all I ever want of anyone. That's all I ever want. Just be a good person. Be decent. And here's the perfect way to end on a Friday from Daniel Shabazz. Have you ever been offended on weed? Thank you so very much. Thank you for being here. Another fun week in the books. Might do a little something. Just hang out a bit on Sunday. That's the biggest YouTube day. Again, I'm learning so many things. I'm learning more about how this whole thing works in the last 2 months than I would have ever imagined that I would have. But here we are. We're off to a great start thanks to all of you. Thank you for tuning in today. Thank you for being so loyal. And the only thing I want to wish you is a great weekend. Go get an Ike sandwich. Pick up a bottle of blackened whiskey. You'll be happy you did both. And you don't have to go home. But you can't stay here.